something. Just waiting for Derek to tune in. You are moderate. I've never heard anyone answer a question with that answer. Why are you moderate? It's my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Getting old. I might pull some cards while I'm waiting for... Oh, he's here. Is he here? No, he's not here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am well. Many blessings to you.
Many blessings to you. We can't see your beautiful clothes.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting situated at the moment. I just seen that you were live and I got the invite. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hop on in and get situated.
No worries.
All right.
Okay,
Hi.
so welcome to Witchtok Live. This is the first Witchtok Live that I am hosting. We are going, well, we, meaning me, I am going to be having a different creator on weekly. We'll try to weekly, and basically we're going to get to know each of the creators. This is an opportunity for me to ask them questions about their craft, get to know them as people, as creators, as their content, things like that. And basically, the peanut gallery can also ask questions eventually when we get to that stage, or you can ask questions during the live. And yeah, so I'm going to get, as most of you guys know, I'm Eclectically Me. I run Witchtok News, and this is my page. And I will put it over to Derek to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Derek. I am a psychic medium witchcraft practitioner here. I actually started on my path whenever I was 11, but I started deconstructing Christianity when I was actually 8. I just knew that something wasn't right. So I was like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. I should feel better leaving church than I do going there, you know? So I immediately just took two and two and put them together and realized that that just was not the right space for me. As I started to develop myself, my abilities, as you will, or gifts, I started to realize that I could do things that most people could do, and it made me feel a little outlandish, and I suppressed them a little bit. And not in the means of like I just refuted them, but more so in the realm of like I just did not bring awareness to others about what it was I was bearing witness to or what I was experiencing. By the time I had gotten to 11, I started to actually study the medicinal properties of certain herbs, spices, plants, and roots, and all these other things. I actually had got a real bad cut that was on my arm. Like you can probably see the scar right here, probably
Yeah,
right about there. It's very light, but I had gotten a real bad cut right there, and I started looking around for certain herbs that I could utilize to heal myself with. Because in the middle of the woods, what else can you do? You know, I predominantly grew up. I want to say 30 years out of the 34 years of my life I spent in the woods. So I couldn't like run to the store or go do this, that, and the other. I actually had to be creative with finding things to help myself out. Now, I ended up studying even more so into, I guess you could say I'm a hedge witch who actually actively became eclectic.
You're answering all my questions. No, that's okay.
Well, that's part of being psychic. So it just kind of comes in that way. But yes, that is that. But go ahead. I will leave some questions for you
Oh
to
no, no,
ask.
you're a head witch. Go, no, you're fine. I was just that was my first question. I was gonna go. So obviously you're a head witch. We've got that from the story, and basically, so when you started, your starting was basically because of church reasons, or like what?
Well,
what
it was more so in the realm that I just didn't know what to believe. And then I started looking for things that actually made sense to me. And the only thing that I could find that actually made sense to me was actually witchcraft. Even science shows that witchcraft is a real thing. You know, we utilize science in the craft. Now,
Mhm,
people are going to take the idealisms of witchcraft and magic and immediately go straight to Hollywood. You know, and we know that that's not what that's about.
mhm,
You know,
yeah.
we try to educate the masses that this is more so for healing. It's more so for our spiritual shamanic path and our ability to cleanse and make ourselves whole and be self-sufficient. So we try to do what we can to bring awareness to the masses, but it's not that easy. It's really
Mhm,
not, especially when there's a lot of misinformation that circulates, you know.
mhm, yeah. Were you always a hedge witch, or like
I
have you
didn't. I
grown as
actually
time
had.
into a hedge witch?
I actually had no idea that I was a hedge witch. Actually, it was very odd, quite. And it was actually wasn't until I want to say a year or so ago. It was whenever actually my husband actually told me, he's like, because I was talking about like what it is I do, how I see certain spirits that
Mhm,
whenever I lived in the woods. And I was like, I would always go to like the edge of the woods. And whenever I got there, it just felt like I could feel different energies, different spirits.
mhm.
And I started to notice things actually were moving.
Oh wow.
And I started to like really focus in. And I was all like, I explained to him, I was like, it's kind of like as if you're looking at a wall of smoke, and then it's like you just like look through the smoke in order to see it. And he was
Mhm.
like, you're a hedge witch. He's
Yep.
like, it all makes sense now. I was like, huh. Well, in all my 25 years in study, I never thought of myself as a hedge witch. I always just thought of myself as just a witch, you know,
Mhm.
just your basic, average, basic witch, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
And
bit hard sometimes because I know even I don't fit into like a bracket, and I found it a bit hard when like and the same as me, I didn't really have a label till I basically started TikTok, but like it is a bit hard to sort of because I don't fit into that bracket and I don't fit into that bracket and I don't fit into that bracket kind of I'm a mix, so that's why I kind of went with eclectic because it was you know I could pick and choose kind of the things that I liked.
absolutely, you know, I am actually, I want to say about probably towards the end of summer or early fall, I will be releasing an eclectic witch book
Oh, excellent.
on eclectic witchcraft. It's gonna have a little mix up of a little bit of everything inside of it, as we do. It's gonna be going over a lot of in-depth stuff as far as like molecular structures. I take things on a very quantifiable level as far as like with what I
It's
do in
funny
my
because not a
practice.
lot of witches do it via science, like do science and witchcraft is either or they kind of don't mesh together like a lot of people.
Right, and this you see, and the thing is this is that Lori Cabot actually she started doing that, and she really spearheaded the whole integrating witchcraft and science together. So I didn't even know that. I had no idea. I
Mm.
thought I was the only one that was doing that. ever. My
Mm.
whole life, all 20 some odd years growing up, doing witchcraft studying and everything like that, I thought I was the only one who did that. And then I ended up finding out through much more research that, oh, by the way, there's these individuals, these elders in these practices that actually do this. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's just genetic memory, ancestral memory, that I am an ancestral witch, but being that I am coming from multiple different bloodlines, whenever you're an ancestral witch coming from multiple different bloodlines of witchcraft, you're going to be eclectic,
Yeah.
So it I'm just figuring out ways on how to integrate all of it into one practice instead of
You'll
having multiple
realize
different
over the
classes.
years that nothing is original. Like ideas, like you'll think that original, a lot of them, nothing is original. You know what I mean? Everything comes from something that's already existed. You'll find
Right.
eventually. It's kind of like clothes; it comes back in fashion.
Exactly. Exactly. Wait, ancestral hedge witch? Does that mean you're related to Gerald Gardner? Probably. I don't know. I just know that I get a lot. I actually have a lot of information that was never taught to me, or even through study. I didn't even study over it. It was just something that I thought I invented because it just felt like it was something natural. It felt natural for me. So I ended up actually working it and came to find out it was working for me. And so I was just like asking other people, "Hey, what do you think of this, this, that, and the other?" They're all like, "Oh yeah, that's actually legit." And I was like, "Really? I thought I invented it." They're like, "Oh no, here's some references. Look that up."
Mm. So how old were you when you first sort of started getting into witchcraft?
I was 11. I was 11.
11. And
Yeah.
what piqued your interest in witchcraft? Like, what was there
Whenever
anything specific?
whenever you wake up during the witching hour, because Nyx is like talking to you, basically reverberating information like nonstop. It's kind of like doing an echo on somebody,
Mm-hmm.
right? She literally put an echo on me to wake me up.
Or an alarm clock, the
Oh
DD
yeah,
alarm clock.
but I couldn't put the snooze button on. That was the only problem. So
Mm,
then it got to the point to where I was like, okay, enough. I hear you. I understand. I don't know who you are. And it's like Nyx. Never even heard of Nyx ever.
mm,
Had no idea who that was. And then I ended up asking my mom, I go, "Mom, who's Nyx?" She goes, "Huh? Who?" And I was all like, "Nyx?" Or, yeah, Nyx. Who's Nyx? She's like, "I don't know. What is that?" And I was like, "I don't know." So then the next day, whenever I went to school, I ended up doing some deep dive research. And I was all like, Nix, Nix. I looked up Nix. Then I looked up Nex. Nothing. And then I kept seeing something coming up saying NYX. And it was all in caps. And I was like, huh, Nix. Okay.
mm,
I tapped on it. Lo and behold, there you are. There you have it. So for that whole year and a half to follow, I was basically being downloaded with information, and everything that was being downloaded, I would get up on the computer and I was looking it up. I was like, what is this?
mm.
And then I would find it out. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. That's weird. That's crazy. How do I know this? It just progressed from that point. And then I want to say about after a year and a half to 2 years of that happening, then Hecate made herself known.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
once
they're
she
the deities you work with then? Them two?
predominantly it is Eris, Hecate, and Nyx. Yes. Um, there is a few other deities that I do work with, but very seldom. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And when you first started, this is going to be a bit of a weird question, But what was your first spell you ever did?
Funny enough, was a glamour. I actually did a glamour
Oh, wow.
on a report card.
Hmm.
I made it to where it was very believable. And I ended up bringing it back home to my dad. And I was all like, see, look, I did good. He's all like, oh, good job, son. Here, good job. And I was all like, oh, yeah, I had to turn it around. And, but then whenever he got a phone call from the principal, it all went downhill from there. He was like, yeah, that's not right.
And what was your first backfire? Like, what was your first mistake? Big mistake.
Ooh, doing a curse. The first time I did a curse on somebody. They actually ended up leaving me high and dry at a hotel. I'm assuming to go get high or whatever. And I was freaking out because I didn't have my own vehicle at the time. They just came by, picked me up, and we went out on a date. Then they took me to a hotel. Well, then I woke up probably about like after we went to sleep. I woke up about like 4 or 5 hours later, and I was like looking around for them. Went outside, went to go look for their vehicle. Nothing. So then I ended up calling my friend who was literally like maybe 10, 15 minutes away from where I was. And I was like, yeah, they just abandoned me here. And then they were just like, okay, where are you? I was like, well, here's the address. Here you go. So they came by, they picked me up. Once I got to the house, I was already practicing witchcraft at that time. Of course, I want to say, I was about 20. I want to say I was about 20 years old. And no, no, no. I was 20. Yeah, I was 20. I got back to the house and I ended up grabbing my stuff and ended up doing a curse. Well, it backfired because all of our animals started to die.
Oh, oh no.
Like, yeah, all of them. And they were perfectly fine one day, but the next they were just going down. Like renal failure and everything. It was bad.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. I ended up having to bury them and cleanse them, consecrate the grounds and everything like that, just so that a way it would be purified. And it was sad. It was really sad.
And what's a lesson that you have learnt throughout your craft that you wish you had known at the start, kind of thing?
Oh, I wish I would have started off. I honestly wish I would have started off learning how to venerate the ancestors, how to work with them. You know, a lot of times we want to get straight to the deities whenever we hear about them. And for me, it was kind of reverse because they came to me. And I kept thinking to myself, I was just like, well, why should I bother my ancestors? They're busy, they're sleeping, they're this, they're that. And then the whole time, Hekate's all like, you need your family. And I was all like, what do you mean? I'm living with my family. You need your family.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. So years went by and I was just like, okay, I see you. I'm going to start venerating. I'm going to start working. I'm going to start getting everything situated.
Mm.
You know, I started setting up a bobada. I started working with my ancestors when I was like 22, 23, and I really started like really deep diving into it. I started venerating them. So it's been about 11 years since I started doing ancestral witchcraft.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
And what is your favorite type of spell work to do?
psychic witchcraft actually, and also it's actually a tie up really. I actually integrate psychic witchcraft with Reiki and also physical witchcraft together. Um, I incorporate Reiki and psychic witchcraft into the physical witchcraft that I'm doing, and I will implement runes, sigils, symbols in order to activate and or maintain a spell for it to consist of certain particular acts, and it will continue. One perpetuates the next, the next, the next, the next until it goes all the way around in full circle. So that way they each kind of perpetuate themselves in a way.
Hmm.
But that's basically part of what I do with my personal path. Is that's what I do with that.
And what about your least favorite thing to do?
Hmm. 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 I don't like having to retaliate against other witches. I don't like that. That's one of the hardest things emotionally for me
Hmm.
because being a son of a kate, you actually have to protect your brothers and your sisters.
Hmm.
You know, so that's what I consider myself like a big brother to all witches.
Hmm.
So anybody, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be my friend, my enemy, my frenemy. It doesn't matter. If you are truly in dire straits and you need something, and you come to me and you say, "Hey, listen, I know we're not on good terms or whatever like that, but something is on me and I cannot get it off. I've been to so many people, they can't get it off. Is there something you can do?" And I'd be like, "Let's see. Let's find out." You know.
And what brought you to TikTok to become a creator?
Honestly, I got on here because of cat videos.
Mm.
I got on here for cat videos, cat and dogs, and cat attacking people, like cat attacks people. That cracked me up. You know that one chick where she's being attacked because she was hiding inside of a suitcase from her boyfriend and the cat just attacks her? I'm all like, I'm the one rolling on the floor laughing my ass off. Oh, he's a
Oh, that's
babies.
hilarious.
Oh, so babies. Mwah. Oh, sweet babies. Oh, so wild.
And what was I going to say? And the other thing is, okay, this is going to be a kind of what do you like about the Witchtok community, and what don't you like about the Witchtok community?
That's a very loaded question. uh,
I don't know.
you know, the drama. The drama is the one thing I do not like on this app.
Did y'all eat?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. The drama is something that I did not sign up for on this app. Um, I came on here just like I said to watch cats attacking humans. You know, that's what I got on here to do. But then I discovered that there was a witch talk community. And I thought to myself, I was like, I'm going to observe for a minute to see how things are going. And when I first got on TikTok, it seemed okay. There was a
Hmm.
few things here, a few things there, but not like how it is now.
No.
You know, every five flicks scrolling through TikToks, there's always going to be somebody complaining about another creator. There's somebody that does not approve or agree or whatever the case is. They have a difference of opinion. And
Mhm.
I got to the point to where I would go from responding, doing actual responses towards those people saying, is this part of your personal craft? Is
Mhm.
this your magic that you're working with? Is this what you were taught traditionally? And then it's just like, oh no, well, that's what they were taught traditionally. That's the spirits that they work with. The spirits that one person may work with is completely different than what another person would
Mhm.
work with.
And
You
their
know,
experiences are different too.
exactly, exactly. You know, but the one thing that's always going to remain the same is animism. Animism is going to remain the same no matter where you come from. The polarities of things are always going to be as they are. There's no rewriting those scripts. You know, it's just like if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I know that this is what you're all about, but you know what? We're just going to take all that and throw it out the window, and then you're going to do all of this." You see what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Mhm.
So there's a big ordeal where that is not within anything, honestly.
Mm.
It's not for that's not the witchcraft that I have come to know.
Mm.
You know, I actually did put out a very recent YouTube video earlier today. It's actually a two-parter, and it's actually talking about performing certain spells. It's not like catered to one specific kind of spell, or it's not like saying, "Oh, well, this is how you do protection. This is how you do this. This is how you do that." No, it's just the processes of
Mhm.
how you would go about it traditionally. And
And
yeah.
what? Oh, sorry. What do you think the good things are?
Hmm. I do love the fact that whenever somebody is in true dire straits, we all come together. And it doesn't even have to be somebody on Witchtok. It could be somebody somewhere else on a whole nother type of the side of the platform of TikTok. And we will all rise up against whatever kind of horrible thing is going on. Now that I live for. I live for
Mm.
that. That's something
Mm.
that I I love waking up in the morning, or in my case in the afternoon. And I love being able to wake up and see that whenever there's somebody in danger or in trouble or whatever the case may be, that everybody comes in collectively, and everybody just gathers up together and says, you know what, I'm here to help what you need,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, I think that's good too. I didn't start doing the news for that. I started doing the news as a joke because I was friends at the time with Doug Brujo, and he was always in drama. So I did like a fake newscast, and I went, this week on Witchtok News, Doug is still alive, like sort of thing, because everyone was cursing him at that stage. And and a sleepless mind is doing this, and Princess Subordinate is doing it. I haven't heard that name in a long time. And all of a sudden, people went, "Oh my God, you have to do this all the time," like sort of thing. And then I just started doing it, and I try to do it, but I also want to do my own thing too. But yeah, it's just But I try to now. When I first started, it was more about like this drama that was going on. Where now it's kind of escalated into the trending topics, the good and the bad. but
Yeah.
yeah, but it just fell into my lap. But and what do you think we can do to fix the community?
Honestly, people just need to learn to mind their own cauldrons. That's what it's really going to get down to. It. People need to learn to mind their own cauldrons. If it's something that you don't agree with, mind your own. You're not having to do what it is that that person is doing. They're not forcing you to do it. And also, if we could get rid of all the misinformation that's out there
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok, that would be
The
great.
rosemary.
That
if I hear another rosemary video that rosemary is for everything, oh my god, it does my head in.
yeah, that's not that right there is just rosemary has many good uses.
Mm,
She
I
can
love it.
do a many multitude of things, but the one thing that she cannot do is baneful. She can't
Mm,
be baneful. She is a pure spirit. So I also derive from indigenous. So I have a lot of the spiritual respect for the spirits in regard to what there is in that sense for those
mm.
spirits. I have a profound respect for the gods and goddesses. I have a profound love for them, right?
This is for you. Let it dry.
Thank you. Speaking of, that is beautiful. Thank you. Oh, wow. I'll do a monetary abundance with that one.
Because I found the thing is with rosemary too. I actually had a friend who uh, a long time ago did a spell, and when she does her spells, um, that she kind of flips the herbs. So instead of like, say a herb has all good intentions or whatever, she would use those good intentions but flip them to be baneful. So what would happen is like she'd use so say rosemary's for love or abundance or healing or whatever. And then she would go, okay, well, turn that, break up a relationship, get them fired from their job, flip it from what its intentions are. And
I mean,
actually found using the herb that way that she angered the spirits basically, and she can't use that herb anymore.
yeah, that's very true.
It
Yeah.
doesn't work for her. Like no matter what she does, like that herb won't work.
I mean, it's just like as if, you had this, and I quote, friend that came around only whenever they needed you and always was like morally obligating you or emotionally obligating you into doing something that you're not comfortable with doing all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
then finally you decide that you're going to draw a boundary and then cut yourself off from them and say, hey, you know what? You can no longer work with me. I can no longer interact with you. I'm not going to entertain you no more. So we can't have this.
Mm,
The
exactly.
spirits are all the same. And when I say spirits, I mean herbs, spices, trees, plants, roots, all that. They're spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And they each have a personality. And if you try to force them into a situation that they don't want to do,
You get cut off.
yeah, they're like the bartender, and they said, "Oh, 2 shots, you're done."
God help you.
Mm.
Hmm.
What spells do you find harder to do?
What spells do I find harder to do?
Yeah, like like harder for you. You know how some people find certain areas more complicated than others? Like,
I
is there
would
certain
say,
spells you find that are like harder for you or were harder to learn or
I would say anything that's outside of the traditions I've learned. Say, like for example, it's just because I have no knowledge or reverence over certain particular types of workings.
Mhm.
And let's say, for example, somebody comes to me and asks me, like, oh, how would you go about doing this? Well, I'm basically spending the whole day trying to get Spirit to download this information in. And as it comes through, I start searching it up. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not the kind of person who actively searches around all over the internet trying to find something. I wait for Spirit to dawn it on me. When Spirit dawns it on me, then I'm looking it up. And this has been
Mhm.
going on for the past 25 years. So, I mean, you can imagine how vast of an array of different facets there are
Mhm.
with what I've accumulated, and so, but predominantly, I want to say maybe, maybe, um, the more. spicier kind nowadays. Now, back in
Mhm.
my dark days, that was a whole nother story. Back in my dark days, the light was hard for me to exude. But in the light now, it's like the dark is still there, but it's in the back.
Mm,
Whereas the light that I currently work with, the energy I currently work with, yeah, there is, it's carried by the speed of the baneful, but it is predominantly light. The baneful bit that I utilize is basically to abolish any kind of spirits that are creating blockades.
mm,
So that would get between my target and my working. So it basically abates them back and breaks through,
yeah.
right? But once it's done its job and all there is just the target, then it basically like delivers the good stuff to the target. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that it's not to say that I'm still not a baneful practitioner, because I am. It's just I predominantly worked more so with healing, protection, cleansing, hexbreaker, road opener kind of ordeal, or monetary abundance. I predominantly work in that now. But you could say technically I am a grey witch. Yeah.
And what's something outside the box that might other people might not do, but that you do in your practice?
Well,
I gotta ask some unusual questions. If you have any questions, make sure to write them down below too.
so you could say
And
that
thank you, Kim.
I take things so far outside the box, I end up inside the box. And I go so far inside the box, I end up outside the box. So what I do is I integrate subatomic and interstellar components to actually fabricate things and draw energy from multiple facet areas. I take it at a very scientific level, is what I'm saying, but I utilize the information of science that science has brought to us in order to do workings at a multi-layered level, so to say. So I could go all the way subatomic psychically. I am going subatomic, astral projecting into a subatomic space and then manipulating the energy on a shamanic level through a psychic, and I guess you could say through a psychic intent to create a certain energy, a barrier of sorts, if you will,
Hmm.
casting spells in that level, go into quarks, then a nucleus, atoms, all that other stuff. I'll go from multiple layers going all the way out, all the way to like the atoms, the molecules, the cells, then the whole being, and then outside the being, the resources around the subject, um, even the things that quantifiably go interstellar in the sense of like what's way out there, how everything is all tied together. Typically, I have to basically go, if I'm going subatomic, I have to go interstellar. There's
Hmm.
no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're going one way, you have to go equal distance the other way.
Mm.
So you have to maintain the balance whenever you're doing that. This is typically what the gods and goddesses are doing. They are literally working these different energies intermittently and very intimately, you see. So
Hmm.
they are literally tying the fabrics of reality together to pull certain strings and bring things into focus.
Makes sense. And what like in magic are you not necessarily good at or want to learn to be better at? Is there something like that you might not do
The
in your
heart.
practice or something you want to learn or get
I
better
want
at?
to learn. I want to learn more tradition. I want to learn more about the traditions. I want to learn more about history of witchcraft. I want to learn more about um, I want to go I really want to go all the way back to the point to which I have no Akashic record access to. I have Akashic records, so I am able to ascertain information by via the Akashic record. And this is dwelling within more so of that spiritual, shamanic, magical sense, whereas all the different types of information that you can gather from the Akashic records over somebody's life, I do so on the spiritual realm in a spiritual capacity. There's many different facets of different deities that I am very close with, simply because I have a love or a respect for them. And basically, any deity's name that I come across, I will invest everything I have into discovering exactly who they are, what they're all about, understand why they are that way, and how they contribute to what they do for the community of witches and people in the human race, or the world or the universe. And I will have such a profound love for them. And then they'll come and they'll say, hey, you know, if you would like to work with me, I'm here. So,
And we had a question. You say you have a history of baneful magic. What drew you to working with more white magic? And what was the hardest / longest white magic you learned?
oh, cleansing would probably be one of the hardest ones that I was, because when you go from being baneful, you don't have to cleanse when it comes to baneful workings. You work
No.
with the negative energies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So cleansing was the last thing on my mind. The only thing I kept thinking of was how to protect myself from those certain spirits.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest thing. The thing that drew me more to learning more about benevolent magic, benevolent, not white magic or black magic. That's very eugenic and rhetoric there, but we'll bypass that. So when you're working with benevolent spirits, you are especially as a baneful practitioner, you're kind of thrown off because you're not quite sure exactly where to go from there. You're kind of like in the mix of like, okay, so do we do this or do we do that? And then the thing is this is that what a lot of people don't understand is that you can do baneful things with good positive energy. You could do baneful things with it. You can slow somebody's stuff down with benevolent energy. Benevolent energy moves so much slower, right? So let's just say if you were to encapsulate somebody inside of a benevolent bubble, okay, and it's solid, but it slowly shrinks over time, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You could slow the process down for them, the things that they are trying to manifest or acquire in their lives. You could slow that all the way down to where it feels like as if it's going at a snail's pace,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So when you're doing that, you're literally taking the energies and you're like literally compressing it to where the smaller the bubble gets, the slower it gets until it
Mm-hmm.
gets to the point to where it's not there anymore. And then everything just comes rushing it out all at once and you're just like, holy crap, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
You can do that, but you can also very much cleanse. You can cleanse with it, you can protect with it. This is why benevolent spirits are so good at protection, because they can actually hold things out. They can slow down the enemy from actually like coming in and actually like doing something that is not for your highest good, right? Something that's not of service to you. So I tend to go I tend to I kind of go all out. And a lot of people are just like, A lot of my mutuals, um, we've had many discussions. We've had many, many multitude of discussions. I've bounced ideas off with Witchfoot, with Ryan, with Celtic Hex, with Witches with Witches. I have all of them that are mutuals of mine, and we've been mutuals for years now. Um, you you begin to understand, like, people that are witches will surround themselves with actual witches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never a question amongst the collective. Everybody just knows. Whenever you are around each other, they just know. They're just like, oh yeah, it's that witch Derek, or oh yeah, it's that witch Eclecticallyme, or hey, yeah, it's that witch Persephone. They just know. You just know whenever you see somebody if they're a witch or not. But really, in truth, I feel that magic and witchcraft, people have such a odd concept of what it truly is.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be like literally taking roots and herbs and spices
Mm-hmm.
and tree bark and juice from fruits and vegetables and integrating it together, creating salves and tinctures and oils and medicine. That's what it was.
Helping
That's
people.
helping people. That's right. We were the wise men and women. We were the midwives. We were the healers. We were the professors of our time. Anytime the Yahweh Christian God would never do anything whenever everybody was praying and shouting hallelujah from the mountaintops, nothing was happening, they called on us.
Mm.
And then
And
shortly after
mm.
discovering what we could do for them, then they would excommunicate us.
And what made you go from like more darker magic to lighter magic?
Because my mentor that I had gained whenever I was like 18, actually 17, told me, if you want to be very powerful, learn all that you can about the baneful side first. And then, like, don't just dip your toes in the pool of evil, jump in head first. Jump all the way in.
Mm-hmm.
Allow it to become part of who you are. And then what you do is you go over and you actually learn the lighter side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can come out of the darkness and be completely intact, I'm not completely intact.
The thing is too, I think witchcraft is there has to be a balance too.
Oh,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? And it is like light and dark. Like there is yin and yang, yes or no, female, male. It's kind of like, there has to be a balance of both. You kind of can't practice like I hear a lot of people going, "Oh, I do white witchcraft or whatever," and you think about it, and then you go like, you know, you can't. Like there needs to be a balance of both. You know what I mean? It can't all be good and it can't all be bad. There's got to be sort of, an in between.
Exactly. And Persephone and eclectically me, you're absolutely right. If you have nothing but light, you don't understand the light.
Mm,
If you are nothing but light, you don't understand that it's the light. You don't
mm-hmm,
understand what it is. You have to have the light and the darkness in order
mm-hmm,
to understand what they are. You can't have one without the other. Just like a true healer will know how to destroy you,
mm-hmm,
right?
100%.
Doctors themselves, they have to actually cut through you in order to perform an appendectomy.
Mm-hmm,
Okay. They actually have
100%.
to they actually have to damage a small part of your body to heal you. and then they
Mm.
have to heal you coming all the way out. And there's
I could talk about healing. Look at the scar.
okay.
Don't know if you
See,
guys can see that. There it is.
okay. So, did you have a bilateral bypass?
I had 60% of my stomach removed, and my duodenum and part of my intestine, and my intestines rerouted into my stomach.
Oh, you had a Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, basically Humpty Dumpty. And then I had complications, and was vomiting up what wasn't coming out the other end, which wasn't pleasant. So they had to go in again. So I have a cut going from my chest to my girly bits, underarm to underarm, and
They gave you a Whipple.
yeah, 177 staples. One surgery was. I can't remember what the other one was, but yeah, it was a pretty big surgery. So yeah, it was not
Wow.
fun.
No, I'd imagine not.
Mm.
Oh
But
man.
the other thing is with Witchtok and stuff like that. And thank you so much for the comments and stuff like that. And thank you, Kim, for the donation. I was going to say that and thank you for all the likes, I should say, while we're and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You're welcome to. The other thing I was going to say is content creators. Is there any like who's your favorite content creators, or you think should be sort of in the spotlight? Maybe someone who isn't quite popular,
Hmm.
or
The somebody that I feel deserves spotlight, but that's not out there already. Oh gosh. I would say there's somebody named Bells.
mm-hmm.
She has some fairly good content coming out now. I've been watching her. I'm actually mutuals with her now. She's really good. I can vote for myself, right?
Yeah, you can vote for yourself, of course.
Yeah. I'm actually going to be starting in a new series coming up very soon, covering over basically, it's kind of like learning with me kind of situation, like some of the histories of certain things and how everything is correlated within the understandings of certain traditions and the base foundations from animism and how it all came to be. And so I was thinking about integrating some of that in there with incorporating some witchcraft lessons, like 101 lessons sort of situation, like 101 not one on one, but 101, like witchcraft 101, like a professor, right? Kind of like that. And I was thinking, making it kind of a little humorous, a little engaging, very informative, doing different things to kind of just inspire other practitioners.
I teach beginners myself. I do a beginner course. I've got um like it's learning the beginner type stuff, but it's also the DIY side of it too, like making your own oils, making your own Florida water, making your own witches bells, making your own witches balls, and stuff like that. And we kind of do so we have a class and then we sort of have a DIY and then we have a spell about the subject or whatever. Um, and yeah, I've been doing that for a while now, but I really enjoy it. It's great, like, and the questions and things you get asked, and the passion of you see of the beginners when they're first starting.
I would love to hear deities from you. I have a feeling I'd be rolling listening to you explain a lot of stuff. And did you ask me a question? I'm sorry. You
Oh no,
did.
I'm just gonna say next. So who is your favorite kind of content creator who's popular? Is there someone like you watch that?
I mean, I've been really watching some of Witchfoot stuff. She cracks me up. There's also, let's see, Celtic Hex. I mean, a lot of my mutuals, I watch a lot of their stuff because I'm always going through my For You page. Um, there's somebody else that I see. I absolutely love them, but I do not follow them. It's funny because like I will see a lot of content creators on TikTok, right? And they'll either be a part of Witchtok or TikTok in general. And I will love these creators, right?
Hmm.
But to say like which of them it is that I would love to just put in the spotlight, I mean, they basically are the light. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
not like they already have like so much exposure that they are literally the spotlight itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I was
Um,
gonna say, yeah, I get that. Okay, the other thing I was gonna ask too. So, as beginners starting, what would you recommend or want to tell a beginner that they be starting out or just getting into the craft?
oh, so first things first.
First things the first.
Uh-huh. That's the first song that popped up in my head when I said that. But um, actually understanding the medicinal aspects and the correlation of the metaphysical aspects of certain spirits, herbs, spices, plants, roots, all that other stuff. That would be the number one for me.
Hmm.
The number one. That's first and foremost to me. Because you need to know how to heal yourself should you receive a wound and you're stranded out in the middle of the woods. You have to know how to create an antibiotic in order to make sure that you don't get an infection and die from it. Another thing is that once you have accumulated enough of this knowledge in order to start putting it actively into practice, start working with your ancestors. Calling
Yeah.
in your ancestors is going to be the number one thing that I would do as far as like performing actual like ancestral or spiritual witchcraft in that sense. As far as like on a medicinal magical level, then yes, it would have to be the metaphysical medicinal properties that in the correlations. But then on top of that, yeah, I would definitely say if we're putting that aside and we're just sticking straight up with just spiritualism, witchcraft, then I would say ancestral veneration and honoring, how to feed your spirits so that a way they can take care of you, protect you from things that could be coming after you, because witches witches will attack other witches for no reason. It's just like they're
Mm.
trying to test their might.
That's what I've been doing with my beginners. Like I've been trying to teach them heavily protection, but also warding. So warding was kind of not really something I kind of got into. And even protection, I learned it, but I didn't really use it until I got on Witchtok and all the drama and throwing hexes at people and curses and all that crap that I kind of really started to get into, even though I had been practicing since I was a teen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
Because
mean,
I'd never experienced any of that kind of stuff. I'd never had to protect myself from people because I don't have those kind of experiences on the outside, you know?
oh yeah. Like I will say this: if you know what you're doing, you become very experienced whenever you jump into a social media platform full of other witches that are trifling and that they will try to come at you sideways.
Hmm.
I mean, it will get to a point to where you want to take a mental health break for yourself, just stepping away from it.
Mm.
And whenever I do what I do as far as like stepping away from TikTok, let's say if like this fall I'm going on vacation, right? I always go on vacation on the autumnal equinox. That's my vacation period. I go on
Mm.
vacation for 2 weeks. And I do that. What I do is I save up as much as I can between the beginning of, well, from the end of the equinox all the way around until I'll save up for that whole year until I get to that time again. And then I go on vacation. Last time I went on vacation, Ben and I, we were still down in Texas, and we ended up going to the beach. You know, we had a lake house, and we went to the beach. Or a beach house. Well, the first time we went to a beach house. The second time we ended up going to a lake house, and that was fun. We even went swimming. We went fishing. It was
Oh no.
amazing. Yeah, it was really nice. Um, it was really nice. So we had a great time. Um, but aside from anything else prior to TikTok, I never had to worry about,
Mm,
putting up 1,000,001 wards. I never
mm,
had to worry about all the protections that I needed. I
mm,
My spirits are fed now more in the
mm.
past 5 years that I've been on this app than they have ever been.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, you say that. I know it's your interview, but I'm just gonna say this. My mum just gonna come in for a quick sec. I wanted her to film a little bit of if that's okay by you. I'm just gonna film a little bit of the interview. But I was just gonna say, you just need to film the screen, because I don't want to be filming and holding the music. Okay, sorry to interrupt that. Okay, so what I was going to say was, I actually had an experience where a creator sent something to my home, and it actually attached to the outside of the home, and then when it, um, hang on, sorry, just after this story, it attached to the home, and then what basically happened was, because I had my wards and stuff, I only put the wards close to the home. I didn't actually put like an outside perimeter at that time.
Uh-huh.
And I know wards, but I didn't know wards like greatly, you know. And I had put wards around the perimeter of the home, but not perimeter on the external outside. And what ended up happening, someone sent me what was it, a succubus, and it basically stuck to the outside of the home because it couldn't enter because of the wards. And my mum, I live with my mum, and basically what happened was it stuck to the outside of the house. My mum is a gardener. It was towards Christmas time. She started getting really sick, and it was one that drains you. So mum started getting really sick, and she's got heart conditions, so we thought it was her heart around Christmas time. And one of my friends had actually astral traveled over here and found it on the outside of the house, and it was starting to, like, it had done its job, and it was starting to wear. And she got rid of the rest of it, kind of thing. Um, and cleaned it all up and stuff like that. But that was my first kind of, like, oh my God, this really happens kind of thing, you know. And
Mhm.
after it was clean, mum went back to normal. She was fine, which I
Wow.
thought was really, and
That's
for
really
someone to
good.
sort of do that,
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I had a. You said wards, and it made me think of this time whenever uh, I, my husband tells it better than I do. So my husband grew up in practice. He grew up in the traditions. Okay. Ever since he was about 5 years old, his grandmother, who actually grew up in witchcraft and a baneful practitioner, she learned from the time she was 5 all the way up until she was 105 when she passed away. So she literally had 100 years of practice and study, right? And so she divulged a lot of her knowledge into him, and he just learned so much, especially whenever it comes to indigenous practice of the Lakota traditions and medicines, baneful folk magic witchcraft, anything dealing with inside of a baneful aspect in the animism aspects, he was all about it, right? And he was doing everything he could to bring the rain. I had already set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Honestly, I lost count about after 70 wards
Wow.
to prevent a hurricane from coming.
Yeah, that's definitely hurricane, yeah.
And
Wow.
I lived right there in Texas by the Gulf. So it did not rain for 8 months
Oh,
straight.
wow.
And he ended up going out there. He was beating his drum. He was singing his songs. He was calling on Akate. He was calling on the indigenous spirits. He was calling on Odin. He was calling on everybody. Nothing was working.
Oh my
Nothing
God.
was working. So
Wow.
then all of a sudden, Spirit told him, it's your husband. It's his fault. This is not going to happen until he comes out here and do it himself.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't do it. It's his. This is all his. So he comes in and he's like, it's your fault. So I was just like, I was just sitting on my phone, just scrolling through TikTok. And I was just like, what are you talking about? What's happening? And he goes, it's your fault. That's why the grass is literally all the way dried up. That's why it literally just turns to ash whenever you grab a hold of it. It was that dry. Okay. There was no moisture at all. The whole neighborhood was dried out. 2 miles. It was 2 miles from my house all the way to the highway.
Oh my
It,
God, I bet you the neighbors loved you.
it was 2 miles in full all the way around.
Wow.
That was how big it was. Okay. It went all the way up to the sky. And
I think
all
that's
the
a whoopsie.
So the hurricanes, there was two of them. They were coming in, intersecting in on each other. And they were headed straight for my house. Once they got to my house, you literally saw them part away like this. And then they reconverged again after they passed the house. But you could literally see the clouds go around the dome.
Mm-hmm.
So once that happened, he was like, it's your fault. It's your fault. This is why it's all dead around here. He says, you have to go break it. You have to break down your wards. You have to let things happen. I was like, but what if somebody throws a hurricane or lightning bolts or something at me? And they're all like, he's like, nobody's that powerful. Nobody can do that. Do you not understand this? You have enemies that don't know what the hell they're doing. That's what it is. And you don't have to worry about them. Your spirit's got it. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. So I went out there and I just ended up creating rain holes throughout it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like you know how like we had like those water pitchers to water the garden,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the little spout and it has the thing, right? So I visualized that as like an internal component in order to allow water to come in and just like create rain. And I had to create like air shaft vents so that a way the wind would actually blow and circulate. But it actually got that bad. And I kid you not, it got that bad where I had to do it. Once I did that, it rained for 2 weeks straight.
Wow, you broke the drought.
It
Yeah.
was, but the only place that it was dried up was right there in my neighborhood. Everywhere
Wow.
else was soaking wet, thunderstorm, lightning, hurricanes, tornadoes, everywhere you could look. It was like my enemies that were throwing things could not get in my wards. They were just like, they would be like, we can't get in, damn it, who are you? I'm like, I'm a divine being living in a mortal shell. Get over it.
Sounds good.
Hey,
And
hey, real
what
quick.
another thing is, what would you recommend as books to like witches and also to beginners?
So one of the things that you may want to get your hands on, I would say, is going to be the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. That's a good one. So you also probably
Speaking of them,
okay.
this was my PR this morning.
Oh wow.
So I got a box of, yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. I was just excited. I thought, oh, yeah, I got a box of goodies.
Oh, that's awesome. So there's that. Another thing is the psychic witch, simply because it teaches you how to channel earth and divine energy, lower and higher vibrations, in order to constitute a magical connection. It helps you to ascertain some information. Also, now take this with a real serious grain of salt, okay? But there is a book series by PC Cast called Marked. Okay. When I read it, and I was actually reading it, okay, you will actually come to find yourself actually feeling the elements, what it feels like, what it smells like. Yes, House of Night. You actually get to experience it on an intrinsic psychic level. And whenever you're able to ascertain that feeling, you're able to start channeling that energy. Whenever you know what the earth, fresh earth smells like, even me just talking about fresh earth, ripped up dirt, you can smell the earth, right? Whenever you think of like a fresh breath of air, it's like the house is real stuffy.
Rain.
Yeah, when the house is real stuffy, you open up your windows to allow circulation to come in, right? The same concept. The air feels better. It feels more oxygenated. It feels much more pure. It's refreshed oxygen, air, right? The spirit of that air is fresh. The old spirit moved out while the new spirit moved in. Okay. Another thing is fire. When I say fire, you can almost smell the heat. Okay. You can smell the fire of wood burning. Okay. You're visualizing this. You're channeling that energy. You're just allowing that clear off off, however you say it. Where you can smell it. Okay. It's like olfactories, but clear olfactories sort of situation. I can't. Olification. Okay. So when you're working within certain elements, you're needed to know how to call on those spirits. And in order to call on that spirit, you need to know it. You have to have, it's all about a personal relationship with those spirits. And whenever you are channeling it, then you can exude that energy. If you know how to funnel that energy in, you are able to exude it and enchant. So I work very heavily with alchemy and enchantment. It's actually one of my specialties, along with psychic witchcraft, Reiki. Physical witchcraft is another thing. It's physical witchcraft and spiritual witchcraft is not. I guess you could say those are my two weaker suits, whereas physical witchcraft is much more higher up on the bar than my spiritual witchcraft. But my psychic witchcraft is top notch. It's all the way up there. Okay, so I've actually had people trying to read cards over me without my knowing about it, and they got a lot of mixed information. They didn't know where to go, how to make heads or tails out of it. So they're just like, I can't really read this. Like, I'm getting very mixed messages. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you tried to read me without my knowing about it, and I didn't allow you access. I literally have to
Yeah.
psychically create a door to people
to allow you.
Each person gets their own door. So I have to literally create a very specific door for each individual person. So that way, if I do open my energy up to somebody to read me, it has to be for one. I do a lot of vetting. I will vet somebody long before I let them read me, because I'm reading them long before they get a chance to read me. I will watch them. I'll just read the energy around them, even the energy around their wards. I will read the energy. I will notice the energy that's flowing in and flowing out of their wards, and that's how I end up vetting them. So once I discover that they're okay, then I'll go ahead and I'll let them read me. I'll create a psychic door for them to walk through. They may not even notice that they're walking through it, but I see them walking through the door in my mind, so that way they can actually read me.
Yeah.
Some people don't have a door, they have no access, and they were just like hitting a wall. And I was just like, oh, yeah, you're stuck out there, by the way. You don't have access to me. So, good luck. Good luck. Those walls are solid. If I'm outside my own walls, I can't get in, without access. So even I couldn't break through my own wards if I was outside of myself. If I was not me, and let's just say, for example, if there was a clone of me, right? If I was outside of myself trying to come at myself psychically, I'm hitting nothing. I'm hitting nothing, right? Because all I'm doing is just hitting those wards, and that's it. Now, I have had other psychic witches attack me, and actually quite recently. And I've actually had to go all out before in the past. So I would have to throw up all bunch of wards, create servitors, create shields, protections, do a lot of mirror magic, and set a black mirror spirit free, which is bad.
It would be.
Yeah, so there's that. So
the books are Book of Correspondences, Psychic Witch, and you said Marked, right?
Said, the House of Night series. That's just
and was the Psychic Witch the one written by Matt something?
Yeah.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
He's actually got a new book, I think.
Yeah, Mastering Magic.
Yeah, I think it's in here. This one. Yeah.
Yep.
So people know what to look for. It's Matt. And the other one is by Llewellyn. I can't say their name properly. What is it? Llewellyn. They have that Book of Correspondences, like you said. That's one of my favorite books. I can't get it here, but they want $70 for it, and I'm not.
Yeah, Lewin. Yes. It is really worth it in the end.
In the long run.
Worth it. Yeah, because you actually gain a lot of the... Or you can just get Witchfoot's book. That works too. Honestly. But
you got Witchfoot's book?
Yeah, I have her book. I have read it, and it is actually really good. In the sense of like, it is literally a physical witchcraft guide. In other words, like, it has all the magical correspondence from A to Z, and it actually goes into telling you, like, if like under protection, it has all the different spirits that work in protection, cleansing, banishment, healing, monetary prosperity, good fortune, things like that. It's all listed, like all those different herbs are listed in that, within those pages. And then
And
it
it's
also,
also the same in the Book of Correspondences too. You got the deity, the grouping, or you can just look up like love and it'll show you all the essential oil, all the herbs, all the
Mhm.
crystals, all the whatever. Like you can look it up by the intention.
Yeah, yes. So I've gone through that one. I've even read a lot of Christopher Polinsky's books, like the Inner, Outer, Upper, Higher, Lower Temples of Witchcraft. Whenever I was like really young, and I was still just like exploring witchcraft in that sense, and I was just like, oh, okay, it's more Wicca base. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Polinsky's is very much in the realm of that Hermetic order of Golden Dawn, inspired by, you know. So, I mean, there is a foundation there. There's a lot of there's some stuff that's in there that is actually real. You know, it's very factual. It's not bad information. It just I me myself as a Hellenistic hedge witch, multi different faceted type of witch, eclectically myself, you know. Um, I derive from many different facets of witchcraft and magic that most people would say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. And I'm like, who said? It's
Mm-hmm.
my magic.
Exactly.
Who
As long
said?
as you're not breaking any closed practices or you're hurting anybody, I don't really see how, a problem
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. I'm not. I if in the event that I do become like fully initiated into something, it is going to be done with the utmost respect. It's going to be done with the utmost honor and venerating of those spirits because those are my ancestors. That is my blood. You know,
Yeah.
I'm African, South American, American, like Native American, Mesoamerican, and Irish. So I have a lot of that Celtic blood run through me. Half of me is Irish. The other half is African, South American, Latin, and North American Turtle Island indigenous. So I work with those many facets of different spirits. I've actually already had the Orishas already, just like coming to me, talking to me.
Hmm.
I've had a multitude of the Celtic pantheon actually coming forward, you know, like the Tuduata the Dande, the Morgan. I mean, this is for her right here. I have, and this is just my way of just venerating her to holding the Morgan at my heart. This is actually for my brujeria. I am also a brujo.
Oh, okay.
So I work very heavily with a lot of many multiple facets of different types of witchcraft. And though, you know, there are some of the spirits that I work with that won't work with each other, and I said, you know what, that's fine. Y'all don't need to work with each other, just work with me.
Hmm.
Okay. Like, I just want you to take care of this situation, and I want you to take care of that situation, and I can handle the rest,
Hmm.
you know? So then that way they don't have to clash with each other at all.
Yeah.
They don't even see each other really. I always put them inside of their own little bubble where they're not even knowing that the other one's there. And I mean, they know that somebody's there because there's a bubble there, but they're not knowing that who it is, you
Hmm.
know. I'm gonna be like, I'm going to have you go take care of this, and I'm gonna have you go take care of that. And here's your offering, here's your candle, here's your water, your wine, your coffee, your beverage, your food. Okay, and for you, this is all for you. I have my ancestors, they will take care of past, the present, the future stuff, and I'm working on the physical stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I am a physical being, and anything that you as a physical being are capable of doing, you should. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you should put in your own into it, your own energy into it. And I fully rely on self referral. I fully rely on my own power. 99%, 90, I'm going to say 90%. If I'm being honest, 90% of the time, I'm going based off of my own juice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to the ancestors. I'm not going to the spirits or the deities or whatever. I'm going with my
Yeah.
own juice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do work with the spirits, and it is what it is.
Mm. And what is this is going to be a basic question, but what is your favorite herb to work with and your least favorite herb to work with?
My favorite to work with, honestly, is probably going to be cinnamon. I love cinnamon. It smells so good, like the Mexican cinnamon. The kind that smells like red hots.
Yeah.
Mwah. That one's great. It smells so good. It's wonderful to like incorporate into certain workings. It's great for a lifter. It's great for all kinds of things, right? My least favorite to work with, okay, is gonna be, well, it's more of a mineral, but it's sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
Even though sulfur is very important in witchcraft, it's the only way, it's one of the ways on how we mask our energy. Okay. Um, if you're not using that, then people are going to know who sent what at who. But
Yeah.
if you want to mask your stuff, sulfur is going to
Mm-hmm.
mask it. A truly adept or highly advanced practitioner is going to know who it is, because
Yeah.
you can just follow the sulfur
That's
trail.
great.
You just look for what's not there. It's
Mm-hmm.
very simple. It is very simple. You just look for
Mm-hmm.
what's not there. And a lot of
Exactly.
people don't think of that. But if you're really advanced, you know to follow that invisible trail all the way back to its source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
And what was
granted,
the other?
only a handful of people know how to do that in the whole world. I'm going to just say that. Not
Mm-hmm.
many people can do that.
Yeah. And I was going to say, is there certain tools in the craft that you don't like using, and what are your favorite tools to use in the craft?
um, I mean, I consider myself my own tool. I use my own body as an altar, or as a wand, or as the pinnacle, the athame, whatever you want to call it. But I want to say, like, maybe the one thing that I is my least favorite thing to work with is probably gonna be incense or herbs in
Incense.
general. Just incense or herbs in general, because it gets really messy. And then I'm just like,
Mm,
I don't want to have to clean that up. Like, I get to a point where I'm like, I don't want to
honestly.
have to clean that up. So I actually
Mhm.
started doing this. Is what I did was, I would have like a box, like a box that came with deliveries or something, and then I would take aluminum foil and put it over it. So then that way, all I'd have to do is just work on the aluminum foil, and then when I'm done with all my stuff, I just put what I want away, and then the rest I can just put it up, and then I could save it for something else. Whatever's left over, like herbs, spices, whatever. And then what I'll do is I'll take either a plastic baggie or something. I'll put it in there or whatever. I'll just write on there like protection, or I'll write on there baneful, or I'll write on there cleansing, money, monetary abundance, whatever. But basically, yeah.
And when you first started doing witchcraft, you kind of said that you went to church and stuff like that. Was your family religious? Did you have issues sort of telling them you're a witch, or like how did that all come about?
Well, yeah, my
Or were you
family
a
was.
closet witch?
I was a. I was a closet witch for a long time. Yeah, I was actually. It wasn't until about 3 years ago that I actually came out of the broom closet to my family.
Oh wow, yeah,
I
3 years.
started like creating like protection spell jars, or I created holy water, blessed water, or I created cleansing spiritual baths. You know, I said that they were holy baths or blessed baths. And I would give them to my family, or I'd give them a little ward, or I gave them like a witch's amulet that you hang up on your wall. It's kind of like a dream catcher, but for bad juju.
Mhm.
And I would just I would just give it to my family. I was all like, "Here, take this, hang it up on your eastern wall, the wall
Mhm.
that's on the east side of your house. Hang it up
Mhm.
there and just leave it there, you know, and then just like cleanse your house with some pine needles or some ground, you know, kitchen cooking sage, or you can use cinnamon. Cinnamon works wonders for cleansing.
Mhm.
Okay, and it just it just got to the point where everybody started coming to me for things. My mom even started coming to me, like she even came to me for something. She told me that the she was all like, she's like, the Lord laid. She was like, the Lord laid it on my heart for me to come to you today because he said that there is something that you can help me with. And I was like, well, what's going on? Sit down, you know? So she sat down in one of the chairs in my workspace. And she was like, well, the past few months, I've actually been dealing with demonic experiences. You know,
Oh
like
wow.
people were coming into her store. She said that their face was their faces were dark and their eyes were pitch black. It seemed like, and they just had like this really horrible kind of energy over them. And I was all like, huh. I was like, okay. So immediately when when she said that, I started psychically reading over her,
Mhm.
and she had a tainting, which is like a mark from those spirits.
Yeah.
Whenever you first come into contact with those kind of spirits, they see you, they recognize you, and they try to mark you, and it leaves like a beacon, like a homing beacon signal on you, so that way, whenever they end up using up the husk of that person, they dry that person out, they'll go to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I ended up. Oh, somebody's burning something. Hang on a second. Let me go make sure that nothing's burning in the kitchen. But basically, what I did was, huh? Oh, they're. I live in a house full of witches, so it's just we're everybody's a witch, you know.
Oh, okay. And
Um,
my last question, because I think I've asked you enough, is what do you love about witchcraft and what don't you like about witchcraft?
what do I love about witchcraft? Well, what I love about witchcraft is being able to be in full expression. I love being able to fully express myself, to bring joy and a sense of peace and sanctuary to people I care about. I love being able to speak blessings over people. That's one of my biggest flexes, is being able to speak blessings over people. Um, One of the things that I do not like about witchcraft okay, is that there is so much in the world that is just so wrong that not even witchcraft can solve.
Mm-hmm.
And
100%.
I wish that there was a way that that could be changed with
Yeah.
witchcraft. I wish that I could actually fully just rise up against whatever it is that is trying to suppress everybody, not just myself or my friends or my loved ones, but I mean, even for my enemies, because if my enemies are succeeding and thriving and vibrant and living their life, they're living their life and they're no longer coming at me sideways.
Mm-hmm.
They can go live their life, and that's what I wish for them to do. But whenever they're sad, they're miserable, and they're lonely, and they're being petty, then they will continuously come at me sideways. And I'm just like, you know what? You're not even worth me acknowledging anymore,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And then at that point, I'm just like, I'm just going to give you over to spirit. You're no
Mm-hmm.
longer of consequence to me. There you go.
Exactly.
Just like, here you go, spirit. Take them. I
Have
give them.
fun.
Have fun.
Good riddance.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is
Yeah.
there anything you wanted to add or anything you wanted to?
Well, maybe the topic of controversy that's floating around out there about me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What did you want to talk about in that?
Um, well, I feel that, I mean, it's just something that I myself have cleared up with a lot of other people, but, you
You're
know,
talking about the war water, right?
yeah. Well,
The
it's
war
not
water
that,
video. Like in case people don't know what the video. There was a video circulating that Derek did that he explained how he makes war water. And I spoke about it in my news. And it had upset a lot of witch talkers and spiritual people because he uses um a mouse that he,
well,
I don't know how
it,
to explain it. He uses a mouse in his practice that he kind of tortures, then uses it in the thing. But it upset a lot of witches because that's how he made it, and people weren't happy with that. So yeah,
so allow me to clarify a few things because a lot of it was edited out.
misconstrued. Yeah,
It was a lot of misconstruction, and actually that the part that was the video that ended up getting clipped by multiple different things and melded
yeah. I
together.
couldn't find the video in the end. I actually had to go by someone else's stitch because I couldn't actually find, like, obviously the video's been pulled, so I couldn't find the
Yeah.
video in
Yeah,
the end.
I ended up once that happened, I ended up switching it directly to private with link invite only, and it is specifically for advanced practitioners who are actually students of mine that were just curious because I kept hearing one thing about that weird creations chick that was talking about how can you drown a mouse, blah, 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 blah. And I was all like, okay, first of all, let me just say, there's far worse things that you could do than just that, just drowning the
The thing
mouse.
is, too, everyone's practice is a bit different too, and we all have different ways of doing things. And like even in brujeria, you know, in hoodoo, they sacrifice animals and do stuff like that too. So like, I don't really see,
Well,
just because you
and
don't practice that certain way, like you don't
the
people don't
thing
have
is
to like it,
this.
is what I'm trying to say. And everyone's practice is different. It doesn't mean you have to do it the way they do it. If you practice how you practice, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you
And
get what I
so
mean.
get this. I totally get what you're saying, but let me say this much, right? That video, right, was only the second video there was actually a conversation that was the video in regards to a conversation I was having in private with somebody. And I was
Mm.
all like, I will just make a video explaining how I do it, right? And I was all like, but the thing is this is that the parts that were clipped out was actually the part where I said, now it doesn't have to be an animal. It
Mm.
can be a plant. It could be an insect. It could be,
Yeah, I was gonna say that dead insect.
yeah, it could be anything. And sometimes not even anything at all. It just depends on what that spirit needed for me to do at that time. And that was during my dark times. Well, since then, and that's been over 10 years, I never had to do that ever again because I already ascertained and absorbed that kind of energy to where I could channel that energy so I don't have to do that anymore. Now all I got to do is just funnel that energy in and then exude it out onto, like, say, a candle or whatever the case may be, you know. So there's a lot of controversy even still kind of going on over on Discord, on Facebook pages, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch about me. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, there's literally hundreds of different people that talk about me on a day-to-day basis, and I'm just like, okay, if you understood the context, you would understand where I'm coming from. But I mean, they believe that it's something that I do actively to this day, and I'm like, are you kidding? I've transcended.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have actually created servitors to do stuff like that for me now. You know, where I don't have to create or call forth the familiar to act as an effigy or a voodoo doll towards my target. Now I have a servitor that enacts those things for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even have to worry about that no more. But if there was just one thing that I would wish that those individuals that are talking ish about me, if there's one thing that they could ascertain out of me about that, is exactly that. I don't do that anymore. And that I have transcended past that. And that's something that just is not part of my practice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was. Oh, it was. And I mean, there was some things that there's things that I regretted, and there's things that I don't because of why I had to. But in the end, like you said, everybody's practice is completely different than the other. You know, my practice is different than your practice, even though we're both eclectic. You know, there's
Definitely.
a huge difference between one practitioner or another. So, absolutely. I I'm actually going to be teaching on YouTube. I'm going to be posting videos on YouTube more, and it's going to be going in to alchemy and actually a deep dive into uh, working with the atomic components of certain spirits and how you can actually create a more solidified covalent bond with those spirits together. So if anybody is interested in learning about that, I mean, make sure that you're following me on YouTube or subscribe, and feel free to ask questions on any of my videos. Y'all, I'm an open book, honestly. Y'all can ask me anything if it makes me look good or
And
bad.
you said that you mentor too?
I do. I have a mentorship program, and I also have an apprentice program. My apprentice program has zero caps, which means that it doesn't matter what you want to learn. If I know it, I'm teaching it to you. I'm going to divulge all of my knowledge to these people. And in fact, I have a book that's going to be coming out probably early, mid fall.
Excellent.
So it is actually for advanced practitioners, so or at least adept, uh, or if you have a base foundation of animism, that this book will work for you. But you do have to get Witchfoot's book. That's the only way you're going to be able to utilize some of the stuff that's in there, because the stuff that's inside of my book is actually going to be some of the things that is inside of Witchfoot's book. There's things that is in Brujo Ryan's book that's going to be covered over also in my book, but you're going to need those books in order to understand what's in my book.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, the Encyclopedia of Magical Remedies, that book, as well as The Psychic Witch. It's going to be literally 1, 2, 3, 4 books. And these 4 books are going to teach you basically everything in witchcraft, magic, ancestry, all of that. It's these 4 books is going to teach you everything you need to know about physical, psychic, and any kind of eclectic type of witchcraft, and also animism and ancestral witchcraft.
Hey Chanel, I think it's Shell. And when will that come out?
That will be early to mid fall. Yeah, we're going to be, my apprentice and I, we're going to actually be finishing up with her training coming up in a couple months. And from there, we are going to be getting started on writing it, and then it's going to be published out onto Amazon. So you'll be
Excellent.
able to buy it on Amazon. Mm-hmm.
Great. All right. We'll have to all look out for that when it comes out.
Oh, I will post a PSA.
Okay, great. Is there any what was I gonna say? Is anyone in the live want to ask any questions? Well, we still have Derek here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in for my first Witchtok Live. I hope I haven't bored you. But we're gonna have a different creator each Witchtok Live.
That's amazing. I actually like that, and I think you should continue doing this. This is really wonderful, especially if you can have, somebody, or have your phone positioned to where you can actually record the sessions and everything, and then be able to post it up. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I think we'll wrap it up there tonight, but definitely I'm going to have also group sessions with everyone, so you're always welcome to join in. And if there's anyone out there that wants to be in the hot seat and I'll ask some questions, you're more than welcome to be a part of this. But thank you so much, Derek, for coming on. It meant a lot to me, and yeah, thank you for sitting with me and talking to me and answering my questions.
Absolutely. Anytime. Feel free to swing by whenever I'm live, and feel free to, ask questions anytime. If you are curious about anything about how to go about doing something, feel free to ask. If I don't know, I'll be blunt and I'll just be like, oh, girlfriend, I don't know. But I might know somebody, one of my mutuals might know, or my husband might know.
Well, that's good to know. I didn't know you live in a house full of witches, so that would be interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of stories there.
Yeah. Actually, 2 of them are my students, and my husband and I we're both mentoring them and teaching them witchcraft. Starting off in divination is probably key, but witchcraft in itself is always a lifelong process, as you are aware. So we try to get them into the swing of things, and I mean, so far they're doing good. They're doing good. They're on the right track.
It keeps you on your toes.
Oh, yes. Well, honey, I appreciate you having
All
me
right, I'll
on.
let you go. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Kim. You stayed through the whole live, so that was pretty cool. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, thank you so much for everybody for tuning in, and I will see you all again on Wednesday. We're going to have YRD creations, and then the next week we're going to have Kim, who is the in the chat at the moment. So we're gonna have a different person each week, so that'll be great. So yeah, stay
I,
tuned
I
for that.
will I will be here for the weird creations one. All right. Make sure to share that to me, okay?
Yes, definitely. I will get it out there, and I'll have to because it was kind of spur of the moment today. We had the other one that we cancelled, and then this one. So it was kind of spur of the moment to get it up, but definitely I will get up a video, and I'll also post it to my YouTube page, so the full
Awesome.
interview will go on there. So yeah, so
Well,
if you've missed
thank you.
anything,
Thank you so much, Eclectic.
you're welcome.
I'm so honored that you considered me for an interview. I absolutely love that. I wish people would interview me more, quite honestly.
Yeah, it sounds a bit weird when you say I want to interview you, but
And really it's a conversation, and
mhm,
hopefully we can have more of these.
exactly.
I would actually love to see you actually create a interview channel where you go through and you interview a lot of those that have been in the controversial aspect. And,
Oh yeah,
it actually gives them a chance to actually, take ownership of their stuff, allow them to clear the air, get it off their chest, and actually speak some truth for themselves, you know, instead of
mm,
speculation running around wild.
yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about because I've been in the controversy myself. So it's it is sometimes good and therapeutic to kind of talk about it and get. I think a lot of things too is it kind of gets to the point where even if you do talk with my situation, I had someone who was a friend and a mutual witch on TikTok, and they kind of investigated me after we stopped being friends and posted information online, and I mean everything personal, uh, like pregnancies, miscarriages, everything went online. And I got called all the names under the sun, and it kind of put me in a point where a lot of witches took sides, and they still do. And it got to the point where I got messages like to kill myself, and my mum should have aborted me, and things like that. And I remember the Christmas it all went down the first year, and it still goes on to this day. There's like hate pages and stuff. And I got to the point where every time I talked about it, my words just got twisted and like it got turned into something else. And I just got to the point where I was like, I'm not going to talk about it anymore because when I do, it just, you know, it just got so like, it just got way twisted.
What
And
I
that's the bad side of witch talk sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's also why I started Witch Talk News because I wanted to be able to help people and maybe change the community in a sense and get the bad behaviors out there so they were highlighted and maybe people would then realize, oh yeah, maybe I'm doing this wrong or maybe I'm doing that wrong and change it. Um, but it is hard to go through. I just remember that Christmas sitting there and just crying and crying and crying, and my mum just kept saying, "Get off the internet." And I didn't. I kept posting videos, but I just switched my comments off in the end because it just got to the point where, and my news when I first started it, I would get like 10,000 views and 7,000 views and like 5,000 views. And it dramatically dropped after that, but I kept going. I didn't really care, you know what I mean? Like I thought, no, I want to do this for fun and I'm staying for the people that want me here. You know what I mean? I don't care what others say kind of thing. And I stuck around. But you
What
know,
you're what you're doing is actually very wonderful for the whole community, honestly, in my opinion. because it allows people to be able to go through a sense of shadow work and actual therapy. Because, like you said, it is very therapeutic to be able to talk about it, you know. So I love it. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here, but
Okay,
many
you do it. It's
blessings.
late there.
Yeah, it is. But
Okay.
many blessings to all of
Yep.
you. And I hope one day in the future we do this again.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right.
That'd
All
be
right.
awesome. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in, and I will see you all later. I'll see you on Wednesday. Well, it'll be Tuesday, but Wednesday. I think Derek's gone. So, what did you guys think? And thank you so much, Kim, for tuning in for the whole interview. That meant a lot. I'm sure my internet will boot me off in a minute anyway.